Baltimore County police have identified the two children found shot to death in their Gwynn Oak home this week.
Now let's go back to Tuesday night. That's when police say the parents of Steve Allen and Giovanna Myrie came home and found the two shot and killed inside their home on Tallis Road. Baltimore County Police Chief Robert McCullough says the shooting appeared to be an isolated incident. He added the shooting happened in a quiet neighborhood where police say they normally get calls for noise and speeding complaints.
This is a very quiet area, and we walk, kids walk in this area. Even adults, older people. So this is very alarming to hear.
And Baltimore County Police say the bodies of both children were taken to the chief medical examiner's office for an autopsy, and detectives are still asking for your help tonight, offering up a reward for anyone with information that will lead them to a suspect. Reporting live on your corner from Gwynn Oak, I'm Casey Baylor for WJZ.
Welcome to the news at 5. I'm Kelly Lynn.
And I'm Dennis Valera. Police say 9-year-old Steve Allen and 15-year-old Giovanna Myrie were shot and killed Tuesday night.
Casey Baylor is live on your corner in Gwynn Oak as the search for a suspect heads into the weekend. Casey?
And this afternoon, there's no word yet from Baltimore County Police on who is responsible for this tragedy, but we are hearing from Giovanna Myrie's school community. Western High School took to social media saying that they are heartbroken by the loss of their student and her brother. We're also hearing from city schools. They released a statement in part saying our hearts are with the children's family, friends, and classmates. The family has asked for privacy and space as they grieve at this time. Western High School had planned for an event this afternoon to honor Giovanna's life, but it was canceled, again, as the family has asked for privacy.
A mother walks up the steps of her home on the 6100 block of Tallis Road in Gwynn Oak, Maryland. It is a little after 7:20 on a warm July evening. She has just finished work. She expects to hear the television or music or the sound of her children moving through the house the way they always do. Instead, she finds silence. Inside, 15-year-old Giovanna, everyone called her Gigi, and her 9-year-old brother Steve are lying where they fell. Both have been shot multiple times. Both are pronounced dead at the scene. What began as an ordinary day ends in a crime that will pull investigators through phone records, bus cameras, neighborhood surveillance, and the messages of a 16-year-old boy who had been talking to Gigi for weeks. This is the story of two young lives ended inside their own home, and the relationship that police say led there. This is Crime Trail Chronicles. Gigi was a student at Western High School in Baltimore, the oldest public high school in the United States reserved only for girls. She played golf. She had taken an interest in karate. People who knew her remembered her as quiet and reserved, careful about her appearance, the kind of teenager who paid attention to the small details. Her brother Steve had just turned 9. The family called him Pops. He loved Roblox. He loved basketball. He loved anything connected to Caribbean culture. He spent time at the library the way some kids spend time at the park. He was still young enough to find real joy in the ordinary parts of a day. Their mother, Risa Robinson, left for work that morning of July 7th. The last time she heard from Gigi was a text around 4 in the afternoon. When she came home a little more than 3 hours later, both children were gone. In the weeks leading up to that day, Gigi had been talking with a 16-year-old from West Baltimore named Keith Maurice James Jr. The conversations had been going on for about 2 months. They met face-to-face for the first time around the 4th of July. A friend of Gigi's later told investigators what she saw during that visit. On FaceTime, she watched James lying in bed with Gigi. He was holding a handgun. The next day, Gigi texted that same friend. Part of the message read, "Keith said if I cheat, he finna put the gun inside me. Help me." On the afternoon of the 7th, Gigi told her friend that Keith was supposed to come over around 4 o'clock. The afternoon of July 7th unfolded in a sequence that investigators later pieced together piece by piece.
Just 1 second.
Okay. My name's Brian Thompson. I represent Mr. James. I'd like to say first that this is obviously an unspeakable tragedy. Our hearts and sympathies are with the victims and their families. But I would ask everyone to understand that we're only at the very beginning of this investigation. Our investigation hasn't really even started. The Baltimore County Police, I'm certain their investigation is continuing. Our client, like every other citizen in the United States of America, is entitled to the presumption of innocence. So I would ask everyone to understand that this case is going to go on for quite a while, and I would ask everyone to reserve judgment, afford my client his constitutional right to the presumption of innocence, and reserve judgment until the actual evidence is presented in a courtroom where it can be challenged in our adversarial system.
Could you explain your request or your decision to waive the hearing, and then also your request for the transfer to the juvenile facility?
Well, I think the transfer to the juvenile facility request is kind of self-understanding, self-explanatory. I'm not going to discuss defense strategy with the media.
In terms of waiving the bond hearing, what was behind that decision?
I'm not going to discuss defense strategy with the media.
What we really have to work on is the charging document. I don't see anywhere in the charging document that police have recovered a weapon. How important would that be to the state's case?
I'm not going to discuss the facts of the case at this time.
And I know the defendant in this case, can you at least tell us the relationship with the victim?
I'm not going to discuss the facts of the case at this time. I think there's some information in that in the public documents that I know you have all read.
Is there anything the family or the victim wanted relayed on their behalf?
The family or the victim?
The family or the suspect would like relayed?
Not at this time. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Is it Brian with a, yeah, can you spell your name if you don't mind?
Yeah, it's BRIANTHOMPSON.
Thank you.
And the firm is Silverman Thompson. Okay? Thank you, everybody.
Is there another, I know there usually is a preliminary and it's usually goes away because of the indictment. Is there another court appearance that you're aware of anytime soon?
So you're correct that most of these cases proceed to the circuit court by way of an indictment, and I anticipate...
Could you go to the... Start again, please.
Okay. So Dave, you're correct that most cases like this proceed to the circuit court via an indictment, which then cancels the preliminary hearing. Then there is what's called an initial appearance in the circuit court, and that should be his next appearance in court, assuming the case is indicted.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
A major break this morning in the investigation into the deaths of two Baltimore County siblings.
Baltimore County police say they've arrested and charged a teenager in connection with the shooting deaths of 15-year-old Giovanna Myrie and her 9-year-old brother Steve Allen, who were found dead inside of their home in Gwynn Oak earlier this month. Our Stephanie Douglas has more on the arrest and the charges now filed.
Well, Janae, Amy, Baltimore County police say that 16-year-old Keith James Jr. will now be facing murder charges in the death of 15-year-old Giovanna Myrie and her 9-year-old brother Steve Allen. Now, investigators say that 16-year-old James Jr. was arrested Wednesday after he was served with an arrest warrant. Police say he'll be charged as an adult with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Investigators say they do not know how the teen got a gun, but he was known to both of the victims. They believe that James Jr. had some type of relationship with Giovanna Myrie, but they would not say whether if it was a friendship or something romantic. Police are not also saying whether a 4th of July party at the family's home is how he came to know the family, but they do say surveillance video shows the 16-year-old in the area before and after the killings.
He was on camera in several ways throughout the community. He had been in the area prior to the crime, and of course he was in the area after the crime. It was terrible. And when you reflect on the fact that a child who had just turned 16 carried out this crime and did it in the manner and the way that he did, it's troubling.
Now, 16-year-old Keith James Jr. currently remains behind bars here at the Baltimore County Detention Center. He's being held without bond. Reporting live on your corner in Baltimore County, I'm Stephanie Douglas for WGZ.
Around 4 o'clock, Gigi told a friend that Keith was supposed to come over. Cell phone records and transit cameras show a clear path. Surveillance from the Maryland Transit Administration captured James getting off a bus at Liberty and Tulsa Road at approximately 4:14. That stop sits roughly half a mile from the house on Towles Road. Neighborhood cameras then picked him up, walking in the direction of the home at 4:16. Investigators believe he reached the residence around 4:19. What happened inside over the next hour is known only through the evidence left behind. Gigi was later found lying in a bedroom. Steve was found in the hallway between rooms. Both had been shot multiple times. A neighbor reported hearing a sound like a projectile striking a nearby house around 5:08. Detectives placed the shootings near that time.
That Baltimore County Police press conference is set to get underway. We are expected to hear from Chief Robert McCullough starting right now regarding the Gwynn Oak homicide investigation. Let's take a listen in.
This evening, we'd like to announce that we've made an arrest in the July 7th homicide involving Giovanna Myrie and her brother Steve Allen. If you remember back on that date, the homicide occurred in the 6100 block of Tallis Road, in which the brother and sister were murdered. We have arrested a Keith Maurice James Jr., who's 16 years of age, who has an address in West Baltimore in Baltimore City. He was taken into custody early this morning by Baltimore County detectives when they served a search warrant and an arrest warrant for him. He's charged with the homicide of both victims. Right now, what we can tell you is that this individual was known to our 15-year-old victim and also to her 9-year-old brother. He's right now being held at Baltimore County Detention Center with bail denied. With that, I'll next have County Executive Captain Klossmeyer speak, and then Councilman Jones, and then I'll step back up and answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Chief. I just would like to say how sad a day like today is, and please keep the families in your prayers. And I am so happy with not with the results, but I am so pleased that the police department did such a great, quick job to this part of the whole situation. So thank you, police officers, if you're in here, and thank you, Chief, very, very much. So thank you.
Again, I'm Councilman Julian Jones. I am just taken back by the fact that young people at the age of 16 years old will not only have access to a gun, but have the propensity to actually murder someone and murder two people. So this is an absolute sad day for all of us here in our community, in our country, that this type of violence takes place and is being perpetrated by young people. But at the same time, I want to thank our police department, who work extremely hard each and every day to have a very, very high clearance rate in Baltimore County. I've said it before, I said it again. We can't stop random acts of violence, but just trust and believe that when these violence is perpetrated here in Baltimore County, we will not leave any stones unturned before we make an arrest and take that person to justice. So thank you so much.
And once again, I like to reiterate what the county executive and the councilman said. We can't say enough good things about our detectives and our investigators, and that also includes our crime lab and the people who work in our crime lab for the great work that they did in this case. From the very beginning, we were very diligent and we pursued the suspect in this case. I know it took much longer than I wanted it to, However, we had to make sure that that we put together a very airtight case, considering the age of the suspect in this case, and with recent changes in law in the state of Maryland. We had to make sure that we did our work the right way, the way that we always do. Also, this case also highlights for me a couple issues. One is juvenile violence itself, just violence by juveniles on other juveniles. And it also highlights a point that as parents, we need to make sure that we know who our kids are associating with. We also need to make sure that when we go to work or we go out of the house, that we know who are coming and going in our homes, especially who are with our kids when we're not around. And the final issue is it's just dating violence, teen violence, between people who have relationships. So we need to be mindful of those things. And with that, I'll take questions. Gary?
Yeah, so the rifle, which you just said, forgive me if you mentioned it earlier, can you confirm that the 15-year-old was dating Jones or dated them at one point? Was this an ex-boyfriend or a current?
What I can say is that we knew that they knew each other, that there was some type of friendship or relationship there.
Any idea on what Jones's motive may have been?
At this point, we do not have any confirmed motive for the reason he did it.
And what led investigators to Jones? How were you all able to track him down?
I can't go into all those details right now. Much of that will be in the charging document. You'll eventually, I'm sure, have access to the charging document. But what I'll say is excellent police work. We utilize all technology, everything possible. I've said it before. One of the great things is that our administration and our county council have invested in the police department, invested in the infrastructure of Baltimore County. You can't go anywhere and not be on camera in Baltimore County. You can't go anywhere and not be seen.
Will he be charged as an adult? Can you tell us the charges?
Yes, he has been charged as an adult. I don't have the charges in front of me, but I know that that one of the charges at least will be, murder.
Chief,
Charged with homicide.
You said it took you longer than you anticipated to make this arrest, but yet the arrest came. The murder notwithstanding, how troubling was this case for you and police?
I think if you go back and look at the video from that night, I didn't even realize it until I looked later. I mean, how troubling it was showed in my face and my demeanor that night. It's troubling when you consider how horrific this crime was carried out. It was terrible, and when you reflect on the fact that a child who had just turned 16 carried out this crime and did it in the manner and the way that he did, it's troubling.
And in terms of, I know it's an ongoing investigation, we can wait for the charging documents, but if you could share what you can, in terms of, you mentioned that parents should know, or something you said about their children and their dating. How long have they been dating, and what was the nature really of that relationship?
I don't have any information as it relates to that. I can't confirm whether they were truly dating or whether they actually just knew each other, but I knew they were known to each other and they had some type of relationship.
Last question here. The 9-year-old, he was there. He obviously wasn't dating the boy. Why the 9-year-old a victim?
Well, I mean, I can only speculate that he was a witness. He was an innocent bystander, and he was the result of everything that went on or transpired that day.
Was this teen suspect known to police prior to this? Any, past situations with law enforcement, that kind of thing?
With Baltimore County, I don't believe so. Of course, in the beginning of the investigation, he came to our radar and was one of several suspects in this case, and we were able to determine that he was the one that carried out the crime.
Are you able to talk a little bit about the circumstances that led up to the shooting? Had he been in the home, had he been spending time there before the shooting took place, or?
All I can say is we do know that he had been at the home before. maybe even several days prior that we can confirm, at least on, to our knowledge, July 4th, that he had been at that location.
I was told by neighbors that there was a big party too on July 4th at that location. So, was he known to the parents too? Like the parents knew who he was and everything?
I can't confirm that, but it's possible that he was known to them.
Chief, a quick follow-up. You mentioned that that night you were very confident by saying, "We have a suspect. We have a suspect." Did you know that night that he was the one you were looking for? Let me rephrase that. What led you to him?
I will say that we had a belief that there was a definite suspect. We didn't have a definite identity, but we had an idea of who it might have been. And basically, we followed the evidence. You know, we utilized all the technology that we had available to us. We utilized witness statements to us. We utilized everything that was made available to us to lead us to this suspect.
Chief, obviously, you know, this sent a lot of shockwaves through the community. You know, what was yesterday, this really had a lot of people, you know, you were emotional about it, impacted us as well. What do you say to the community tonight, you know, now that you have this big break in case this arrest that happened, what do you say to the community tonight that, you know, may still be, you know, still is shaken up by all of this, you know, just on the human side of this?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that, you know, my heart goes out to the family and friends of the victims. Like I said that night, 2 lives were lost. These are lives that will never be realized, a brother and a sister. What I would like to say to the community is that Baltimore County is still a great place to live, work, and play, and to raise your children, or for your kids to go to school. These things happen. They happen everywhere across our nation. They rarely happen in Baltimore County when you consider, you know, we have a population, you know, of about 850,000 people, and on any given day you have well in excess of 1 million people that travel throughout this county and come here and work. And all of last year we had 28 homicides. And as of this point, we're halfway through July, and we only have 12 homicides this year. So it's a great place to live. It's a place that's safe to live. The real issue is the number of guns that have proliferated our society, the availability of guns, the need to make sure that we lock up our guns in our homes. But we want people to know that Baltimore County is safe. We want the citizens and residents of Baltimore County to know that they can depend on their police department when something happens, that the incredible men and women that work in the Baltimore County Police Department will respond, and we will catch our suspect.
I just want to reconfirm, you said you will be charged as an adult, at least 2 counts of murder.
Do you know how he got access to a gun?
No, we do not.
Was he caught on camera? Leaving the house and that kind of thing, Chief?
I would say that he was on camera in several ways throughout the community.
That night?
Say again?
That night? Because I know you said he'd been in the area.
He had been in the area prior to the crime, and of course he was in the area after the crime. Any other questions? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chief.
Great job.
And again, that's Chief Robert McCullough with Baltimore County Police making this huge arrest in this case that happened 2 weeks ago. I think the chief said it best. I mean, we are both parents. This story sad in so many ways. And a 16-year-old Keith Maurice James Jr. now being charged as an adult, taken into custody in this case.
Yes, it's a heartbreaking update. We also know that he's out of West Baltimore. He was familiar with both of the victims involved in this. The chief even mentioned, I think it was as early as July 4th, he was at the home. And at this point, he's being charged as an adult. This is news that we were not hoping to hear, but they said that security, surveillance video is what really facilitated and really narrowing it down.
And again, this happening 2 weeks ago. We brought you this story. It's breaking news at 11 o'clock, and Baltimore County Police now make a massive arrest in this case. A 16-year-old taken into the custody in the death of two young siblings, a 9-year-old brother and a 15-year-old sister, a case that many have been waiting for answers.
James, according to the same records and cameras, left the area roughly an hour after he arrived. He walked back toward another bus stop that would take him into the city. When their mother returned home a little after 7:20, the house was quiet. She found her children where they had fallen and called for help. Officers arrived to a scene that would stay with everyone who worked it. 2 bullet holes were visible on the front of the home. Both children were pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives moved quickly. They collected the mother's statement, the layout of the rooms, the positions of the bodies. They began pulling phone records almost at once. Gigi's phone showed the ongoing contact with James over the previous 2 months. It also held the text she had sent her friend the day after their first in-person meeting, the message that included the threat about the gun. That same friend told investigators she had seen James on FaceTime holding a handgun while lying in bed with Gigi. Keith was expected around 4. Cell phone location data placed James's phone in the area of the house at the critical time. MTA bus video and neighborhood surveillance filled in the movements, arrival, departure, the walk to and from the bus stops. Ballistic evidence recovered at the scene became part of the case file. Investigators interviewed James on July 21st. He told them he and Gigi had been talking for about 2 months and that he had not met her in person since the 4th of July. The physical evidence, the cameras, and the timing told a different story. Police Chief Robert McCullough later stated he believed the 9-year-old may have been killed because he was a witness. The investigation treated the deaths as connected acts inside the same home on the same afternoon. By July 22nd, the pieces were strong enough for an arrest. James was taken into custody and charged as an adult with 2 counts of first-degree murder, along with firearms offenses. He was held without bond. A grand jury later returned an indictment. At a bond hearing, his attorney asked that he be moved to a juvenile facility. The judge denied the request, pointing to the seriousness of the charges. Throughout, James has maintained the presumption of innocence. No conviction has been reached. The full motive, beyond what appears in the charging documents, has not been publicly laid out by police. The funeral took place on July 21st at St. Casimir Church. Family, friends, classmates, and alumni from Western High School filled the space. They wore black and gold. The service closed a chapter for the people who loved them, even as the legal process continued. A grand jury later returned an indictment on the murder charges and the firearms counts. James has not been convicted. He remains presumed innocent unless and until a court finds him guilty. As of now, the case continues through the legal system. No full trial has yet taken place, and the complete motive, beyond the statements and evidence already described in the charging documents, has not been publicly detailed by police. The house on Talley's Road is quiet now. The children who lived there are gone. Gigi will not return to Western High School. Steve will not play another game of Roblox or walk to the library again. Their mother carries the weight of that final evening and every ordinary moment that came before it. Friends and classmates still speak of the quiet girl who cared about how she looked and the little brother everyone called Pops. If you have any information about this case, contact Baltimore County Police or Metro Crime Stoppers. And if this story mattered to you, subscribe to Crime Trail Chronicles and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.